National Infertility Week, and experts are pointing to a global and significant new study that plastics and fire-resistant furniture are accelerating the rates of male infertility and genital malformations. This is being called a male health crisis. Microplastics are everywhere. According to a USF and Eckerd College study, there are billions of particles of microplastics in our waterways right here in Tampa Bay. Microplastics come from things like water bottles and plastic bags. Sperm counts worldwide have plunged by more than 50%. And the issue is not just with men dealing with infertility issues. An estimated 1 in 6 people globally are affected by infertility, according to a new report from the World Health Organization, which emphasizes that the condition is now considered common. The WHO reported describes that these numbers are a first of their kind in a decade. The organization analyzed infertility data from 190 and 1990 through 2021, looking at 133 published studies on infertility prevalence. But our next guest was able to defy the odds. Joining us now is fertility coach and the author of Infertility Success, More Stories of Help and Hope for Your Journey, Erica Hoke. Erica, it is great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me on, Gail.
Well, I thought it was important to start the show off with you because a lot of people are losing hope. They're hearing these statistics and they are staggering, but you say that you don't necessarily have to resort to IVF right off the bat.
That's correct. Reproductive medicine as an only option is a myth. There are many, many things that you can do. These ladies in the book tell their story, and my story is proof of that at 35, which is kind of like the magic number in the infertility world, right? If you're going to get pregnant after 35, a lot of people's hope goes down after that. But I was told I was not a candidate for IVF. I had low ovarian reserve. I actually had 7 different diagnoses. And with diet and lifestyle changes, introducing traditional Chinese medicine, I was able to turn that around, turn my health around, create foundational practices that clearly changed my fertility because 7 years after I was given that diagnosis, I had my last son. I'm the infertile mom of 4 very wild little boys. So
I love your story. It's such a beautiful story, and it is a story of hope. And I think it's so cool that you decided to first write a book and then come out with an addendum to that, you know, more information, more doctors that you talk to, and more stories of hope. So what are some of these ways that women are finding, you know, alternatives to IVF?
Well, there are definitely some foundational practices that most women need to put into place. And because I'm a coach, because those things seem simple, they might need a coach, right? We sometimes need fitness coaches, we need diet coaches. Well, fertility coaches are needed too because they're so simple that we can't implement them on our own. So things like that, foundational things around hydration and sleep. Some of the women in the book got their infertility success with a $10 antibiotic after many visits to different types of doctors. That was the thing that was their cure, so to speak. There are other women in the book that tell their story of a 12-year journey through infertility. So there's a lot of things that you can implement. And sometimes you need some help doing that.
So, and there's also a test that a lot of women are not aware of that they should be screened for. What is that?
There's actually quite a few tests that often get overlooked. Many times clients will come to me and they will say, I've been tested for everything, because we all feel like lab rats, right? And many times there are things that are overlooked in their testing because doctors have their own protocol, and we don't always know what that is. And so I really encourage women to seek a second opinion. But to answer your question, some things that they can look out for are things like, it's called factor V Leiden.
Okay.
There's another very common, very prevalent bacterial infection called ureaplasma, which our lead author, she was the one that had that $10 antibiotic, and that did the trick. So many tests get overlooked in in people's healthcare plans.
I wanted to ask what your thoughts were on fertility acupuncture. I lost my first baby and I was left with one fallopian tube, and just almost as a way to jumpstart my fertility, I'd read about it, and you know, 4 babies later, you know, I felt like it really helped me. I know it helped me relax, and I know it helped me, you know, become calmer, but how else does that work? And is that something you stand behind?
I do. I believe that it helped me become pregnant as well. When you have, I'm not a Chinese medicine doctor, but from the way that I understand it, you know, they support your liver and your kidneys, and those are the things that govern your hormones. And so by doing that, it helps balance your hormones and supports the processing of your hormones in those organs. So I very much, there's tons of studies actually that that acupuncture supports fertility issues.
So who collaborated with you on your new book?
We have women from 4 different continents in this book. We have a reproductive endocrinologist over in South Africa that wrote the foreword. One of the stories connects with him, and her story actually has to do with unresolved trauma that was preventing her from getting pregnant. It was actually repressed unresolved trauma that she didn't know that she had, that she ended up having some hypnosis for, and discovered it, resolved it, and then she was able to get pregnant. So he very much identifies with the whole vessel being sound and whole, and not just trying to force the body into a pregnancy when there's things obviously that need supported.
You know what's so interesting about this, a lot of people don't realize, I've done several stories as a journalist, that even some of the very prominent IVF, you know, hospitals and clinics that you can go to, they also stand behind a lot of what you're talking about today. You know, they'll get behind the acupuncture, you know, looking for alternative ways, dealing with stress management that women carry around. So there's so much to be handled, maybe even if you're trying to, before you start to conceive, to start thinking about these fertility coaching ideas.
Yes, absolutely. Overall health has to be the goal, with pregnancy as the outcome. We have to get these foundational practices into place, reduce inflammation, and do the things that we know support our body, like sleep and hydration. As silly as it might sound, it's fundamental to a woman's hormone health.
Well, I think it's incredible that you're out, that you keep sharing stories with your new book. We appreciate you coming on Bloom to share that with us, because it does give everyone a ray of hope.
Yeah, thank you. I know that there's a woman that will see this book, hear this interview today, that feels completely alone. She feels isolated. She feels like her body is broken, and she's probably not on social media. And so we really, as authors, wanted to support that person and let them know that there definitely is hope for their story.
Erica, it was great to see you again.
Thank you.